And here we're just going to just briefly look at some new technologies that are coming, right? So you've been hearing recently about some of the mature technologies, right? These water sensors, the litter bags, and where that's all been and where it's going. But here are some stuff that's under development that's just coming out of the alpha testing phase and moving into beta very soon. And so we're going to be taking a look at work that we're doing on weed quantification, and also a follow back up more about the Forage sensor box. And so I'd like to highlight two key leaders on the team that are going to be giving this walkthrough. So let's start with Paula. Paula Ramos, sorry, is a research associate with us at NC State University on the PSA team, and she's been working for many years and it brings a tremendous amount of expertise in engineering, machine vision, and learning. And you'll see from some of the work that she presents here. So take it away, Paula.
Thank you so much, Stephen. So yeah, so this is an amazing thing that we can do in this project, in PSA project. Imagine that you can walk in the field with a simple technology to scan the field. And by walking and making a video about the transit in the PSA project, you can scan the fields and then process this information to obtain point clouds, like this one that you can see in the slide. And then with this point cloud, we can create different indexes as biomass, cover of weeds, and density of the weeds. So this is a simple technique, but we are using a high technology. So, and I mean, also is low cost. I mean, the camera is the GoPro camera, is an adventure camera. And also we are working with a tablet, an Android device. So we connect these two devices with a monopole. So we have the monopole, the telescopic monopole. And in the ends of the monopole, we install the camera and the tablet. So we can create, we can walk through the field with the instructions that the tablet is generated. The tablet create with the app, things like height of the camera, speed of the movement, and we can digitalize this information and digest the data using the tablet. So could you go for the next slide, please? So if we can see here in this scheme, in this flow chart, so we have the weed quantification, and the GoPro is the principal technology here. But we need the app to digitalize, to digest the data, to create metadata, to control the camera, and also to push the data or the video collection information in the cloud, into the cloud. So for another side, we have one technique, the name is extraction for motion, and it's the technique that we are using to create the point clouds. So with this information, we can create a very good results regarding with the biomass that we can see in the transect of PSA, the cover of the weeds, I mean the percentage of the weeds in the transect, and also the density. But we have here in the orange side, you can see the image processing approach. We can obtain this information with image processing approach, but also we want to put the weed identification. For the weed identification, we need more machine learning and deep learning stuff. And we have the timeline for this technology. Next one, please. So, and in the timeline, you can see that we are right now in 2020. So we are doing right now the alpha testing. Regarding with this timeline, remember the protocol matrix that Chris mentioned earlier. So we are doing right now the alpha testing. We are developing right now the app to control the camera and digest the data and making adjustments for the extraction for motion technique. So the idea is that early next year, we get this first feedback to improve the technology and start the beta testing in 2021. Our goal is to have this technology in all teams in 2022. So if you would like to be part of the beta testing, just let us know. I could prepare one equipment for you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Paula. That was great. And we got a good question in the chat box that I want you to cue into, because it's a great. We're not going to hit it now. We'll hit it during the question and answer session later. But it's a great segue to show that we have a lot of different irons in the fire of trying to estimate what the biomass is in the field, what the species is in the field, and the density, of those individuals, right? And so some of them are maturing and ready for the protocol and for the network, and some are not mature yet. But it'd be a nice place to introduce some of those concepts. So thanks, AJ, for that question. Now I'm going to introduce Kade. Kade is a new postdoc on the PSA team. He's been with us now for, I think, 3 or 4 months now. Right, Kade? And so he comes to us with a background in computer science, engineering, machine vision and learning, and AI applications. And so he's involved in the team on a number of different pursuits to provide solutions for the network. And I'll let him talk about the work with the Forage sensor box that he's doing.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Kade. As Stephen said, Kade. So I'll present a little bit on Forage sensor box. And this is a very powerful sensor. Actually, when I joined, I didn't know much about it. But after learning a lot of the details how it works, this is a very useful sensor. And we can use this actually to validate some of the very important models that we can use in agriculture. Because what we envision is not having a vehicle driving all the time in your farm, but to have to use this sensor in a close range to get all the information that are important, and then later on validate other models like using drones or using remote sensing, and then those are the technology that we envision later on to use. But it's very important to have this active kind of crop sensor, because we believe it to give us accurate information. So with this, actually, you get very important information about NDVI vegetation index, which will tell us about crop vigor and tell us very important information on how we can estimate the biomass. So, and it uses other sensors actually to get height information, canopy height. This is very important because on estimation of 3D and DVI, we need a height, canopy height information, because when measuring canopy vigor, measuring sensing the canopy and estimate the biomass, sometimes when the canopy becomes big, you get some saturation, especially if you use only one only NVI, the vegetation index. So by adding height, you get a 3D NDVI, which is very important on reducing the errors due to saturation. And then with this sensor, you can use it all the time. You can use it during day, which is very important, but also you can use it during night. So so that's a very important feature of the sensor. And then this sensor, you need you can use it using any kind of vehicle. Actually, you can use this sensor even using handheld. But for this, because we're using a vehicle, because we want to cover a large area, so because with this sensor, if you mount it in your vehicle, it should work very, very good. So we expect to get very good information with this one. So next slide. Yeah, so what we need is first we collect the data, and then we can have a portal where we'll be submitting all the data. And this raw data can be in text file or CSV. So file. So what we do actually with this one is you can process the information by using statistic tools, like evaluating how the how the height is, how NDVI is, how 3D NDVI is, by using all those information that from the sensor. And then by using advanced tools, then you can produce some of the output, but because you're using statistical tools or machine learning tools. So what we expect is to have some sort of precision maps or some files that you can use it to do decisions. For example, in precision agriculture, you can have all this information you use, for example, to do variable rate application of, for example, chemicals or fertilizer, or it can be like a pesticide or anything that you want, or because by having precision map, you know the condition of whole of your farm, and by knowing the precision map, actually you can estimate the total biomass, and this will help you with the decision, especially because by knowing this information, you can use the precision map to do farm decision later on. For example, how to change your management style by maybe knowing which areas were performing best and which areas were not performing good. And also, we expect, as I said, this information to be integrated with remote sensing information and maybe drone data later on. So we're going to have a very good quality information that can be used direct by a farmer to do important decisions. So that's all I have for today. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Oh,
I've not talked about schedule. So with schedule, actually, as Chris has already explained, like we are going to do some alpha testing this year, and the next year we'll be doing better. And we expect actually to roll out to ship the product in 2022.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Kade. This is great. I appreciate it. And I hope for all those online, you can see some of our new technologies that are entering that beta test stage. You know, you can see the promise, right? I mean, as a recovering weed scientist, the thought that we could actually monitor our weed biomass across long transacts in a field and automate that across a network is just unfathomable a couple of years ago. So I think that what you're seeing here is an opportunity to really bring in both spatial dynamics and variability and improve our precision and really scale up the amount that we can get information around, you know, weeds and cover crop performance. And as questions indicated in the question box, there's a number of ways to cross cultivate some of these technologies. And so we have a whole technology team that's meeting pretty regularly. We have weekly meetings amongst a number of these groups that we are having a number of targets like weed and cover crop species identification versus biomass estimation versus density counts. And we have a number of different camera systems and solutions for doing that. And as one camera system improves or shows a lot of promise, we start to see iterative exchanges between these different types of technologies. So just great opportunities here. So let's just open it up. Now Chris is going to host a question and answer session.
Yes, we've covered a lot of territory. So please, against all of these presenters or anything, honestly, anything, chime in.
Hey, Chris, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, could you kind of speak to that iterative exchange between some of these different cameras and sensing opportunities? I think that would be a good storyline for folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give a little history there, you know, the Forage box work is something that Noble Institute worked on for a number of years. And so that's really that through that partnership that enters the network. And you know, the Weeds 3D is something more recent. Paula has heavy experience on this and had worked on this in other agricultural applications, and it really fit what we thought for the weeds. And so like Stephen said, we do have this interesting overlap. We could come at some of these questions from multiple angles now. There is some reason to think that the Weeds 3D approach is actually better for the patchy distribution that we have with weeds than it would be for the more relatively continuous vegetation that you would have from a cover crop. But anyway, both those technologies do have quite a bit of overlap, and testing where they fit best is something we're working on.
And while we take in questions and answers and Chris keeps talking about this, I'm going to launch a poll for interested people. And I hope that you guys can see that poll now. Is it showing up on your screens? Okay.
Yes. Great, thank you. Yes, again, you heard the testimonials for beta testers. If you think this sounds like you're kind of crazy, we'd love to have you.
Chris,
Yep.
Hey, could you talk about, for someone who might be interested in being a beta tester, but don't feel comfortable as a troubleshooter, what type of, maybe a hotline, if you will, that connection they would have back to the person who's overseeing the project to just make people feel a bit more comfortable as like I said, as maybe as a beta tester, but not as a troubleshooter?
Understood. The great question, Mark. And we should specify what we mean by troubleshooter and give a little more details on that. Is that, you know, when we have a beta tester that's out there and working with a piece of something new, what we really need, we don't need them taking apart things and soldering things, and right, that the fixing job is ours. What we do need is detailed descriptions of failures, when they occurred, everything that you can think of about why they occurred. We also maintain phone lines. We have next year, this is true across the network, we'll have one phone number for people in the field that are having a problem across protocols. You dial that one phone number and we'll be rotating amongst who on our technical team will be fielding that phone call, but it'll mean the same phone number all the time. And so by troubleshooting, what we really mean by that is documentation. You can't problem solve without some of those field details. Anna did a great job highlighting one that hit her hard, particularly was the tropical storms. We hadn't seen those moisture failures except under her site, but of course she was taking in these massive storms that lasted for so long that's where we saw the failure. So, you know, we do, the beta testing process does involve that, and we do need that, but it doesn't mean by troubleshooting, we're asking you to get out and, like, you know, try to fix our technology. We need you to interact with people to document failures. And we'd highly recommend, you know, folks that are going to be a new beta tester, that, you know, maybe try out one if you're interested in that. Just try out one of these and not, you know, try to do multiple.
And we wanted to mention that most of these technologies are for people who are either participating in the on-farm trial now or will be participating in the on-farm trial in future iterations. We envision a lot of these data flows for Weeds 3D and even Stress Cam that we didn't mention too much today. A lot of those data flows will enter through our on-farm database. However, the Forage box is being launched in our common experiment and on-farm. So that's a good overlap of different technologies that are available for common experiments as well. And there will be opportunities in the future for a lot of the common experiments to overlap, and possibly something like Weeds 3D might move into other experiments in the future. But we still have to test the data flows as well and build those out. So we're working on that at the same time.